This is a review of my Nikon L35AF. Manufacturing started in 1983 and it sold for $210 new and had many surprising features that other point and shoots didn't.
I'm going to go over the controls of the camera as I do with all my camera reviews, show you what's inside the viewfinder, and then talk about the history of the camera and why I think it's special.
Starting on the top plate, you see the model designator, the shutter release button, around that the on-off switch, and the film counter window. Moving to the front plate, you see the self-timer control and self-timer indicator, a nice rubber hand grip, a 5-element 2.8 maximum aperture lens, and around that a 46mm threaded collar for mounting filters. At the 12 o'clock position, you have the ISO window, and around the lens a dial for setting the ISO. At the 6 o'clock position, you have the meter sensor. It is positioned so it will be under any filters you put on the camera. And at the 3 o'clock position, you have a +2 stop exposure compensation control. There's a flash in the upper left corner, and below that the Nikon AF logo. On the back plate, you see the flash ready light, the viewfinder window, a thumb rest pad, the film transport confirmation window, the film cartridge confirmation window, and the back release. Across the bottom, left to right, you see a tripod socket, the two film rewind controls, and the battery door. Looking in the viewfinder, you see focus brackets straight ahead, and across the bottom a crude scale that shows 4 focusing distances. Close is indicated by a symbol that resembles a person, then 2 one-armed people signify a little farther back, then you have a 3-headed monster for a bit farther from that, followed by a mountain for the farthest focusing distance.
There were a lot of point and shoot cameras in the market on the early to mid 80s, and most of them had target prices that dictated cheap parts throughout the camera. Nikon didn't follow this. They put on, for instance, a 2.8 5-element lens on this camera, and it even had a threaded ring around the lens that allowed you to put filters on it. In addition to that awesome lens, they give you an exposure compensation lever, which gives you +2 stops for when you have a backlit subject. You can get the proper exposure. And they also allow you to set the ISO yourself. A lot of point and shoots, they would read that off the back inside. They would read the barcode. It's not a barcode, some type of a code on the film, and you couldn't set that yourself. But this camera, you set it, as I showed earlier in the video, and what that allows you to do is, back when we used to shoot a lot of slide film, it was nice to overexpose. You'd get richer colors, and the blacks would be blacker, and it was just a way to shoot. And now if your camera doesn't allow that, then, and there's no settings for aperture and shutter speed, then you really couldn't get around that. But because the camera has the ISO, you can basically fool the meter, and you can take care of situations like that, or you can even do overexposure by setting your ISO also. So these are great features of this little camera. Another really nice feature of the camera is the fact that it uses AA batteries, 2 AA batteries in here. So a lot of the camera manufacturers were moving to rechargeable proprietary batteries at the time. And in that scenario, you need a special charger. And after a few years, those batteries are, if not impossible, they're very hard to get. So these AA batteries, they're available everywhere all over the world. And it's a really nice feature to have that. Another one is this flash. It's not a powerful flash, but it works amazingly well for daylight fill flash, which is the way I like to shoot it. Now, the way you pop the flash up is you press the shutter button halfway, it focuses, and then it determines if it needs the flash. Now, in the daylight, it's not going to pop it up. So what you have to do is put your finger over the meter sensor and then press this halfway. The flash will pop up, and then you take your finger away so it'll expose properly for daylight, but it'll still fire the flash for a daylight fill flash. And in this scenario, you get really great people pictures. So it's really a great camera, and if you checked on Craigslist or eBay, the prices of these is as cheap or cheaper than even the lesser cameras, the lesser point and shoots that didn't have these really cool features. So I really do recommend picking up this camera. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. I found this camera at a Goodwill many years ago for $9.99. I didn't even know if it would work. It was in great shape. A lot of them end up with a broken battery door because it's one of the things I dislike about the camera, but this one had a working and functioning and not broken battery door. I didn't know though if it would work at all. The battery area did not have corroded batteries in it, so that was a good thing. But I didn't know if it would work. So I brought it home and ran a roll of film through it, and it was great. It is a great camera. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, hit the like button and think about subscribing so you can catch more of my camera review videos. There were a lot of competitors in the market for point and shoots. No. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, hit the like button and think about subscribing so I can make more videos. In addition to the lens, they also give you an exposure compensation lever that gives you +2 stops for when your subject is backlit, which is really kind of unheard of in these little point and shoots. And they also give you, what is the other thing? Wait a second. Oh, okay, start over. In addition to the lens, which is awesome, they give you an exposure compensation lever, which gives you +2 stops for when you have a backlit subject. In addition to that awesome lens, they give you an exposure compensation lever